My presentation focuses and my research focuses on professional wisdom, and specifically I'm looking at wisdom within professions of psychology and law, and even more specifically looking at wisdom as it appears within the acts of psychotherapy and in the acts of judging and hearing cases. Something that we learned is that although people have been very helpful in terms of nominating peers who are wise, there's not a lot of consensus on who's wise. So we've had a lot of individual nominations, and we're really looking to identify people who have been nominated multiple times. My purpose is to develop models of wisdom, what that looks like within the confines of these two professions, and also work towards guidelines on how to further the practice of wisdom in these professions. Our interviews have been about 1 hour plus in duration. We don't provide a definition of wisdom, so my purpose is really to find out from these people who have been seen as wise within their professions, how do they understand the enactment of wisdom? What do they think it is to bring wisdom to psychotherapy? The method I'm using is called grounded theory, and this is a qualitative inductive method in which the interview texts are transcribed and then broken into units of meaning, in which each unit is some sort of response or answer to the question of what is wisdom within psychotherapy. These units are then compared to one another in a process of constant comparison, in a search for commonalities between the units. And once a commonality is found, a category of units is created. For now, what I have is more themes that are more general, a little bit broad. They'll be more defined in the final analysis. And the themes reflect ideas that I've identified or I've seen as being discussed and presented by multiple interviewees so far. First theme here being life experience. So the interviewees talked a lot about how important life experience is. They felt that it provided them with a context for understanding their clients. And when I pressed them on, well, what do you mean by life experience? They tended to discuss more existential sorts of experiences, more spiritual experiences, and more relational experiences. And they felt that these were really the key experiences to have in terms of becoming a wise psychotherapist. A second theme was optimism. Many of the therapists talked about the importance of providing hope to clients and transmitting that. The faith that they can survive, not only survive crises, but come out of crises still having value and still being valued. There's this idea they talked about that therapists come to their clients with an empathic respect for their experience and with true curiosity about what the unique experience of this individual is. The last theme in this category is this idea of self-knowledge. Therapists talked in depth about how important it is to develop self-knowledge, to develop an acceptance of your own vulnerability, of your own struggles, of your own flaws, and not only an acceptance but also really a comfort with a broad range of personal experiences. The second content area here is, what do you do in therapy then, right? Therapists talked a lot about how important it is to use all of your emotions in therapy. How you react to a client informs you on how other people might react to them in the outside world. Caring in an egalitarian manner, empowering the client. Therapists talked about how if you can teach the client not to be intimidated by you, to stand up to you, to disagree with you, then you're providing the client with an experience that they may be able to then take into the outside world, changing their interactional style with others. And finally, learning about the context of your clients' lives. Therapists talked in depth about going into the client's cultures, learning about your client's experience, working in your client's cultures, cultures being very broadly defined here. Finally, training therapists to become wise. So how do we then train people to become wise? There was a concern in psychotherapy field right now. There's pushes towards manualized psychotherapies. The therapists tended to speak against these kinds of approaches. There was a concern that that you should bring your personality to bear in therapy, that you should bring your whole self into the room, you should be creative with your clients and flexible. Having positive relationships, they felt that if you had positive relationships yourself, you'd be able to be less afraid of intimacy with clients. You'd be less afraid of connection, right? In terms of engagement, this task was one that was very high engagement. All the therapists talked about high engagement as being very important.